Good evening and welcome to Perspective. The unrest in Kashmir has refused to die down after the killing of 21-year-old Burhan Wani, as said and illustrated by the PM's speech yesterday in the UN. He very clearly said that there can't be peace in the region without the resolution of the Kashmir dispute. Pakistan remains committed to the Kashmiri cause through dialogue, and that our government has gone an extra mile to ensure that we can resolve this issue. Let's talk about the impact of the PM's speech today. I have with me Saeed Abdullah Gilani, who is a leader APHC, Qamar Cheema Saab, who is an analyst, and Colonel Shafqat Saeed, who is a defense analyst. Thank you so much for joining me today. Gilani Saab, how do you see the impact of the PM's speech yesterday?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much, MAHRUKH. No doubt that the PM has taken an upfront in the United Nations and made the day for the Kashmir there. No doubt. I would have added the word brave here as well if the PM's body language would have matched with the words as well. But no doubt it was really a wonderful speech, and he has made the day there for Kashmiris, and he has made it clear to the world community that until and unless the Kashmir issue is not resolved, there would be no peace in the region, no peace between Pakistan and India. So we appreciate that initiative and that action of the PM which he has taken there. And secondly, let me tell you one more thing. India has tried, in fact, during this speech, before 2 days of PM's speech, India has in fact tried to divert the attention of world community, because I think India actually tried to divert the attention of PM as well, because India didn't want that PM should take this much bold stand, which the Pakistani nation and the Kashmiri nation, they were expecting from the PM. Thanks Allah that PM did not succumb to the Indian pressure, and the Pakistani nation did not succumb as well.
Right.
Thank you.
Qamar Cheema Saab, like Gilani Saab has said, it was a bold move by the PM, and he did not succumb. If there was pressure, he did not succumb to any pressure. He was very categoric and very clear that, for peace in this region, there has to be the resolution. How do you see his speech, and how do you see the impact all over of such a speech in the UN?
I think if I would just look at it, it was a very tailored and calculated speech, wonderful. The Prime Minister spoke what he must have spoken, and I think overall everyone in Pakistan is talking that he has done a great job for the country, and it was very much on the plate that Prime Minister is to talk this, and that was what the Indians and everybody was worried that the moment Prime Minister will be there, there is a likely possibility Prime Minister will be tough on the human rights violations which are going on in Indian held Kashmir, and for that the Indians and everybody knew. So Prime Minister spoke at length on the international environment first. Then he talked about the region. Then he talked about the local, what's going on here. I think he went very, in a very fashionable manner. He talked about the sustainable development goals. He talked about where the world needs to move forward, what the UN must have done, where it has got failed. It is waiting, the world is waiting that the UN, must go for the resolution of the Palestine issue, the Kashmir issue. Right. He spoke at length every issue.
It was a very upfront speech and a very honest
speech. He spoke what he must have spoken, and he did it well. At the same time, he just went to look at the loopholes which the United Nations must have, plugged properly, which they haven't done. So I think it was a very statesman speech, and everybody in Pakistan is happy that Prime Minister has become a strong advocate of the aspirations and the wishes of the people of Pakistan and the people of the Indian held Kashmir. So that was a good one.
Right. Colonel Shafqat, obviously, the cause of the Kashmiris is very, very close to our heart, is very close to all the Pakistanis' hearts, and we have always consistently, I feel, been an advocate of the Kashmiri cause. But how do you think, as an impact, how do you see the impact of this speech being different?
Mr. Nawaz Sharif has proved himself a better leader, a man of vision, and he has proved himself a leader of the region after this speech. And in his speech of about 20 it was little short of 20-minute speech. Of that, 16 minutes he devoted to Kashmir. And you know, he was very diplomatic and he was very polite, and his speech was absolutely within the norms of decency, and he was very cultured in his speech, very adequate and lucid.
Yet
And
categoric
he
also.
did not bring any sort of embarrassment to India. For example, he could have embarrassed India on setting up Baloch radio in Delhi. He could have embarrassed them on their being exposed behind everything that has been happening in Pakistan since 2001. Let it be Fatah or Balochistan or Karachi or anywhere, sectarian or linguistic, or this miscreant war, Zarb-e-Azb, everything is India is responsible for it. And he did not do that. He was very polite. And on one of the Indian channel, I went even to say that Nawaz Sharif let you go. He did not embarrass you. He is still keeping that room, that cushion, so that he can initiate on peace dialogue, and he would be very firm and he would come without any embarrassment to a peace dialogue. But can Indian Prime Minister resume any peace dialogue with the same prestige, with the same bhaichara and dosti and the display that he comes out with once he is meeting Mr. Nawaz Sharif? No, he can't.
Right.
He has embarrassed him so much by his warmongering and war hysteria and this hype, and the way he spoke for the people in Pakistan. He has been embarrassed. He has been a man of very low vision. Whereas Mr. Nawaz Sharif has proved himself a better man, a better leader. He has proved himself a leader of the region. 1. 2, Kashmir, I think there is no discrimination, no division. There was a poll on Twitter in which 87% of population votes went for that we will go all out with everything for cause of Kashmir. 87% people. Let it be a nuclear war even. And whereas in India, they said, are you ready for war with Pakistan? About 79% said no.
Right.
So, we don't challenge Pakistani nation. We are not only that, it is not cricket mood, right? It is not 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours mood. It is 70 years old lava which is cooking up. And I say that it is in Indian hand to steer this whole subcontinent to peace or to war. And peace, as Mr. Nawaz Sharif very rightly brought out, is not possible in this region without resolution of Kashmir.
Right. Unfortunately, we have to take a small break, and then we'll come back and discuss further the implications of the PM's speech at the UN today. Welcome back from the break. We were discussing the PM's speech in the UN and his unflinching support for the Kashmiri cause. Gilani Saab, Shafqat Saab was just saying that before we went on the break, he was mentioning how the PM's speech, he as a statesman came out, and his speech was, he was very categoric in laying down how Kashmir was the main issue, and without it, we would not hear of the resolution to between Pakistan and India. Whatever conflicts that we have, Kashmir is central to that. But at the same time, he let India go so that there would be room for peace room to negotiate for peace between the two countries, between the two nations. How do you feel about that?
That is the actual concern that we should look for. Actually, you see, when PM has mentioned in his speech that the dialogue has no favor, for Pakistan.
Right.
And India is always, putting the undue and absurd conditions for the dialogue to come on the table for the dialogue. So I think there was no need to extend the offer of dialogue again. So we should look into this matter, because this shows that we always adopt the apologetic approach from
But
this
surely it's
side. Now, this is the one thing. The other thing is that I believe that PM has actually, by dedicating 694 words of his speech to the Kashmir, he has actually set the stage for our diplomatic missions around the world now. It is now, onus is with our diplomatic missions, how they are going to pursue the suit, how they are following now, how they would follow now what PM has done there. Because in previous times we have seen, you see, the PM's speech in 2015, that was also the tremendous speech in favor of the Kashmir. But then what after that? We did not see any result from our diplomatic missions. So I believe whatever failure has been there has been by our diplomatic missions. So PM has now set the stage. Now onus is now with the diplomatic missions. They have to take care of this matter now around the world.
Let's take Qamar Saab's view on that. Qamar Saab, how do you feel that after giving so much importance to the Kashmiri cause, like Gilani Saab is saying, how do we move forward from this? How do we take it towards an effective conclusion?
I think we will have to move forward with a more sustainable manner on the issue. These ups and downs on a particular issue does not stress things much, and that makes mockery of our concerns sometime. And this is what we have to face, at few points, that for some time they do not look at the issue, for some time they look at too much. So there have been mood swings at home. That must not be. At the same time,
so there has to be a consistent approach.
Consistency, a sustainable approach for the process, one thing. Second, what I was feeling that Kashmir is, we're in South Asia. I think the Prime Minister sent his envoy across the globe. I think there must be some separate team that needs to be sent to all the members of the SAARC as well. Everyone needs to go to every country in the SAARC, and they need to tell that let's not talk about India and Pakistan. Let's talk about the miseries the human beings are facing. Human beings have no religion. They have a universal approach. You just do not look, it's the Kashmiris who are being killed. Look, these are the human beings who are being killed. So I think there needs to be a special approach for the region. Let's create a consensus. Let's shake the conscience of the regional voices, and let's tell everyone in the region what's going on. If the Middle East is burning, if Palestine is burning, the Middle East is shaking. So if we have to raise really the Kashmir issue, we have to talk to the Bangladesh, we have to talk to the Nepal, Maldives, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Afghanistan. We have to talk to everyone. Forget this is not the bilateral issue. Put it aside. Just look at the miseries of the Kashmir.
Right, the fact that it is a humanitarian concept, the fact, like Qamar Cheema Saab is saying, the fact that it is not just about India and Pakistan, the fact is it is gross violations of human rights that are being done in Kashmir right now, and the Kashmiri suffering, that has to be, how do we bring it home, how do we take it further? Of course the PM speech has set a stage for it.
Kashmir is not Indo-Pak-India issue, it is not South Asian issue, it is humanitarian issue.
Right, exactly.
And it is responsibility of the international community to address this issue. And this issue has only got one resolution. It cannot be imposed by Pakistan or India or by UN or by anybody. It has got one resolution, and that resolution is with the people of Kashmir. And it is those people who have suffered this tyranny for 70 years, they have to decide, and they have the resolution. You cannot make or cook, there's no recipe for any resolution. And I think that now our government should tie Kashmir to everything that can lead us to force India to resolve this issue. For example,
but surely we've done that by saying that there can't be talks without
we have been
Kashmir
doing
being
it,
a
but
central
I want
issue.
to add on to that.
Right.
Whatever we have done so far, that has not been fruitful. We have to do little more than that. We have to change our way of doing it, and we must, for example, Russia has got interest in this region. China has got very heavy stakes in this region. America has got interest and stakes in this region. And all of them look up to Pakistan, and Pakistan is serving everybody's purpose. I would say that Pakistan should make this interaction with these powers conditional to support on Kashmir.
Right.
Because Kashmir is our jugular vein. If somebody cannot take care of my jugular vein, I should not be interacting with him, or I should tone down my interaction with him. I should not serve his purpose.
Right.
Exactly like that, we need to make it purposeful. For example, we render very purposeful service to Muslim countries. And we should not be a service provider to them. They must pay back that, they must respect that service by supporting us on Kashmir. It is so...
And you've mentioned that, Colonel Saab has just mentioned that...
I want to add one point, ma'am.
Right.
It is so disappointing that since July to this date, except for Turkey, none of the Muslim countries raised voice for Kashmir.
But actually,
And
I want to come to
OIC has come once only at this UN General Assembly sideline conference. They have raised their voice on this, and it was very heartening that they were very loud and clear in their expression. But I think this is a humanitarian question. It is a humanitarian issue, okay, but it is absolutely a Muslim issue. Right. The problem is because of, it is ideological based problem, and the ideology is Muslim. Right. And I think the Muslim countries should have been more loud and clear to India.
Right. Gilani Saab, what do you think about this? The Muslim countries should perhaps have been more vocal about it, and should have perhaps have been more supportive about this cause along with Pakistan. China, I believe, has, the President of China has yesterday said that, they will support us on China.
Exactly. China has given his clear verdict regarding the Kashmir when the Prime Minister...
Turkey also.
Yeah, Turkey also, China and Turkey. But unfortunately, we are not witnessing the support from the Muslim world, not from even from the international community. Let me give you the recent example. The attack on Indian soldiers in the Uri. We believe that India has staged such dramas in its history in Kashmir. It's not only the Uri attack, it was Parliament attack, then the Chatti Singhpura massacre of 6, when the President Bill Clinton visited India in March 2000. Right. And Uri attack was the same, policy of the Indian aggression in Kashmir. And now we have seen one thing, that, but there is another aspect of that Uri attack, that some of our segments in our society, in the youths of Kashmir, they have taken arms against the Indian occupation there, and they have the legitimate right, as per the international law, as per the UN Charter, as per the UN resolution adopted in 1974, they have the legitimate right to fight with the arms against the Indian occupation there. So if a combatant force is fighting with other combatant force, how could you say that that is a terrorism? And we have seen the international community, they condemn it. Everybody from the international community, they condemn the killing of 17 Indian soldiers there, right. But they did not condemn the killing of more than 100 youths in the Kashmir, unarmed youths. They did not condemn the Indian state terrorism in Kashmir. The Kashmir has been locked down for almost 75 days now. It's the 76th day today. There, Kashmir has been locked. The entire valley has been locked down there. But the international community, we don't understand that why they have they actually lost their honor as being the humans. What is the problem there with them?
Cheema Saab, Gilani Saab is talking about the fact that we have not perhaps seen as much of a reaction from the international community as we should have seen because of the violations, the kind of violations that have been going on in Kashmir, particularly since it's now the 76th or the 75th day. How do you feel the situation? How do you see the situation panning out? How do you think do you think the international community has reacted adequately?
Definitely.
Certainly no reaction can be adequate.
Yeah, definitely it has not reacted the way the international community must have reacted. But I think what matters is, if international community is not taking it serious, why it's not taking serious? That's the point. We need to move forward from this onward. Why they're not taking serious? Either the issue has been politicized, either they think this is Pakistan, India, that's why we must not look into it. This is, is the Pakistan who has been pushing things there and the Indians have been moving on. Is it so? That's not this way. And that's narrative that we need to market to the world, that we are not doing it. We have become a so much responsible member of the international community. The world we have been helping the world to bring peace around the globe, not just in the region.
And like the PM mentioned, we are the subject of the biggest terrorist operation.
Exactly, is going on. I think that narrative that needs to be sold worldwide is not, let's not isolate, or let's not just make this issue so irrelevant by thinking that this is the politicized issue, so let's not look into it. So I think that's where we need to look at it, and that's what we need to talk to the world. At the same time, I think there needs to be a new strategy that needs to be drawn, that how we have to move forward with this issue. Either we have to have consistently look into it, what avenues could be explored. Kanasa was talking about what the Muslim world is looking at us. I think Muslim world is so much, this is the age of complex interdependence. The nations are so much interconnected, they just cannot move away. So expecting someone to help us on the basis of brotherhood is not something that is worthwhile, or it's not something I must accept, because this is the age of nation-state system. Nations pursue their national interest, whatever they have to pursue. So I think let's not look at the Muslim world from the perspective of the brotherhood. They're not going to give us back that way. Kanasa was mentioning, we have been helping them. So we need to negotiate with them that let's not look at it in terms of brotherhood. We don't want it. We are providing you services. You are giving us money for that, whatever we are doing. I think we need to renegotiate this issue. We need to re-engage the world on different lines to the international community and to the Muslim world as well, that how we have to move forward from this. And all old paradigms have been useless, and they're not helping us to achieve anything, and they're further creating a problem for us, because the issue does not get much space into the international arena, and that sometimes make us annoy as well.
Sahab, like Cheema Sahab is saying, perhaps we need to set new way forward. We need to set a new pace. We need to set a new way forward to highlight this issue. And he feels that brotherhood alone between the Muslim countries is not sufficient. So what reason? I mean, surely the fact that such humanitarian abuse is going on in a part of the world should be enough to get the world or get the Muslim community on one platform.
Ma'am, Muslim community coming on one platform is very, I think it is difficult, and the division, the block division, the interest division is so deep and so wide that it will be difficult to bring them on one platform. As he said very correctly, that apart brotherhood, we should not expect anything coming to us in brotherhood. We can exploit interdependence. We have a lot of things which we can make Muslim countries, we have good chips for bargain, right? And we can extract response from Muslim countries. But the problem is that, the world is not deaf, but they need to be made to hear. For example, the world most militarized region in the world is Indian occupied Kashmir. Right? They have, it is the only part of the world at the moment which is blacked out. It is having no internet access, it does not have any phone access, it is absolutely cocooned. So India would not let people know. Nobody from abroad can go there. Everybody has been told that you go at your own risk and you'll be killed, and then they kill them themselves. Kashmiris don't kill them, they get them killed to make sure that no foreigner travels to that region. And recently, BBC had a very thorough documentary on Kashmir, and it concluded that this is an indigenous movement. We need to work so that people hear it and people know it, that this is what is happening. Mr. Nawaz Sharif, in his very deliberate, very well laid out speech, it was very nicely delivered speech. That is not enough. Our missions abroad our media, our analysts, our reporters, they need to wake up to this challenge. And it is not that the challenge is only for the armed forces.
Right.
The armed forces are already set ready to respond. It is challenge to every Pakistani, as a citizen, normal citizen, every citizen, anybody who is doing whatever that is a challenge to him. And there are people who are consequential, like journalists, reporters, media houses. Now they need to play their part and their role.
Right, right. Gilani Sahab, like Colonel Sahab is saying that it is now maybe the time for the intelligentsia, for the journalists, for the brains of the country to play their part, to highlight this issue. The PM, of course, has set a record by making this a highlighting the issue at the UN level in his most upfront manner. But how do we move forward? How do we engage? How do we change the narrative if it's not really going across?
Absolutely, I agree with Colonel Sahab. In fact, we have to create the institutions here, the mind-making institutions. Basically, you know, this time the biggest media and the influenced media is the social media, and we are lacking in that side. You see, the Indians, they have created such institutions there who are involved in the you know, mind-making process there in the social media sector. And they are worldwide, they are doing this thing. You know, the social media has access all over the world. So we are lacking in that area. This is the one thing. The second thing is that there is another aspect of the Muslim world. You have raised this question before, that we talked in the OIC contact groups so many times to the people of the Muslim world, the leaders of the Muslim world. But you know, the most of the times, what the reply we got from there is that they said, you are talking us to cut your relations with the India. Why don't you talk to Pakistan this? The Pakistan has the trade relations with India. Pakistan has the this and that relation with India. Why don't you talk to Pakistan? Because Pakistan, and we believe whatever is being done here, Pakistan needs to reassure the Kashmiris its commitment and the seriousness about the Kashmir issue, because there is a growing sense. There is a growing sense among the Kashmiris that whatever is being done from here is being done in reaction to what India does, not in response to what is happening in the Kashmir. That is the most important aspect. This is why Pakistan has to revise its policy, and there is to be a consistency in the policy of Pakistan. There has to be the institutions within the Pakistan who will work for the Kashmir issue and on a very serious basis.
Right, Cheema Sahab, consistency is a fact that we keep coming back to since we've been discussing this. You know, we keep saying that. But don't you feel that all the governments, whichever government there may be, our stand on Kashmir has always remained the same? That it is an issue that needs to be addressed before Pakistan and India is the foremost issue in Pakistan-India relations. And the fact that we support it, and the fact that the abuse of humanitarian abuse going on there has always been unacceptable to Pakistan. Isn't that a fact?
I think that's a fact, but I think the intensity of engaging India on Kashmir issue has been, you know, like a pendulum. We have not been engaging India on Kashmir for a more consistent fashion. This is we have talked earlier. Different governments came. When it's the democratic government that comes in, they definitely look into it. When it's the military government in Pakistan, things are different. I think Musharraf, when he was the president of the Pakistan, he went for talks with the India, and there was a 5-point formula that was there, and things were changing, it was moving. But unfortunately, because he was not that much legitimate leader, so he has to lose the power because there was a democratic movement all started. But I think at the end of the day, the political governments in Pakistan have not been, raising issue that much with much force. As we have discussed, it has been dealt differently. That's what we have been talking. New narrative regarding Kashmir must come from Pakistan, and for that, Pakistan's intelligentsia, media, civil servants, military, the political parties, the government, they need to sit together that where we want the Kashmir issue, where we want to take it. Either we really want to pursue it for longer, we really want that the world to know what's happening in Kashmir. I think with the old stance we have on Kashmir, or with the past record we have on Kashmir, we cannot move forward because the world is not taking it serious. So let's redraw our energy energies. Let's push more energy into it.
Right,
Let's talk again on it with a new narrative, I think.
Colonel Saab, the Prime Minister in his speech, among the points that he mentioned, one was that there should be an independent inquiry into all the abuse that is happening in Kashmir. Do you think that this will likely, what do you think the likely outcome of the lists that he gave?
Mr. Nawaz Sharif is the best man that India can look up to in Pakistan, I think, at the moment. And he's the best man to sort out all issues with Pakistan for India. He is very polite, humble, and he's very accommodative.
At the same time, he's very categoric and
he's
clear
very categoric.
About what is most important to Pakistan, and Kashmir is the most important.
And he has very explicitly brought it forward to the world at World Forum. I feel that this is the only thing that he has asked the United Nations to do.
Right.
He has only asked United Nations to confirm whatever I'm saying. You must send a fact-finding mission to Indian occupied Kashmir.
Right.
India has crossed all standards of tyranny and oppression. Nazis and barbarians or Mongols, they stand nowhere in front of India once it comes to Indian atrocities, especially in Kashmir.
Right.
The troops and resident ratio is very strange. For every about 11 to 12 people, there is one Indian soldier in occupied Kashmir. Now this ratio has never ever existed, even in World War II in German occupations or in World War II in Pacific in Japanese occupation. Nowhere ever people were oppressed so much. India says that they have conducted elections and there is no need of plebiscite. The elections that they conduct, in that the first election which they take as a premise, that which they say nullified the requirement of plebiscite, in that election out of 72 or 73 candidates, all of them were elected unopposed. What sort of election was that? Nobody went to cast his vote.
Yeah, it was a mockery.
I think Gilani Sahib, I am right?
Exactly.
Now, you tell, India has no morality, India has got no argument, India has got no logic on Kashmir, and that is the reason India does not want to bring it to any international forum, and it says that it should be solved bilaterally. And once it comes to bilateral conditions, then it wants it to be done unilaterally.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
It forces itself. I say India is the biggest country of the South Asia. Yes, this is a fact. It is the biggest population. Yes, it is a fact.
Right.
Then with all this, responsibility comes. Responsibility comes for the whole region. It lies on the shoulders of India. And what is India doing? Is it shouldering that responsibility?
Not
Is
at
it
all.
bringing peace to the region?
Right.
It is bringing prosperity to the region? No, it is not. The way Modi Saab has marshaled and reigned the whole Indian effort against Pakistan, against Kashmir, I think we need to do the same, and we need to incorporate every Pakistani into it, and we must bring in Muslim countries into it. We have very strong support in shape of Turkey. Turkey is a very important Muslim country. China is a very big regional country, though it is not South Asian country, but it has got, it is all around South Asia. It has got very great influence on South Asia. We have everything that we need to make sure that people know about Kashmir, and we bring it to the logical end. But there are missing links, there are loose ends, which needs to be pulled up and tied up so that we are able to relieve people of Kashmir of this pain that they're suffering since 70 years.
Gilani Sahib, like Colonel Sahib has just mentioned, that we have all of these resources at our disposal that can be channelized. But do you think that the UN will now look at this independently, these violations of human rights in India, the list that the Prime Minister has given them?
That is the tremendous job actually what Prime Minister has done there in UN. He has said in his speech that they are going to hand over the evidences to the Secretary General.
He has handed out a dossier.
He has already handed over the dossiers to the Secretary General. But one thing that I would like to mention here, because we have seen the outgoing Secretary General, this Ban Ki-moon, he addressed last time in the United Nations, but he did not mention the Kashmir. So that is where we have been failed in our diplomacy to create the impression, to create the environment about the Kashmir that the people of the international schedule like Ban Ki-moon and others, they talk about the Kashmir. Now you see one thing, it is said about the Ban Ki-moon that he has always been under a great influence of the Indians, because his posting in the United Nations as an officer, his first posting was at New Delhi. So he has been under great influence of Indians. So now we have to look towards the new Secretary General. So now it is the duty, it is the responsibility of our diplomatic missions, how betterly they could do their job. As I have already said, the Prime Minister had actually set the stage for them. Now it is their duty.
Right. Cheema sahab, we have, yes, we've set the stage, the Prime Minister set the stage. He's also sent envoys to different countries to highlight the Kashmiri issue before the UN speech also. And we've ignored the fact that India interferes in Balochistan. We've ignored the fact that their state actors are interfering within our country, and we have highlighted Kashmir. But what move can the civil society, what do you think the civil society can do to change the narrative?
That's something very important. I think we have to be offensive in approach to make the Kashmir issue more relevant to the people and to the society. Everyone in Pakistan understands that the Kashmir issue is very much important to us, looking at the atrocities they're facing. But at the same time, the people are just taking it a very normal issue. And this is the fact. You agree with it or not? People are taking it as a very normal issue. There have been fights, there is an uprising, things go on. There is no that, for example, you just look at this. How many religious Islamic parties in Pakistan who have been very actively advocating Kashmir's cause have come on roads to talk on this? How many, you just look at, for example, look at the momentum of that. How many civil society members from Pakistan have come on roads to, to talk about or to just raise a voice about that? That's where the narrative needs to come, and that narrative will definitely come from the state. The state need to put more energy into the issue. We are doing it internationally, but at the same time locally. And for this moment, I think all the universities, since I come from academia, all the universities in Pakistan must organize seminars, must talk on this regularly, and there must be, everyone in Pakistan must know that there is a problem going on. There is a, and I think, and that's the dimension we need to give them. Looking at the political rights of the Kashmiris is something else, and we need to educate and train our students and our civil society about the human rights violations as well there. So I think more energy needs to come from the state, although they're doing much more, but I think much more needs to be done as well.
Right, of course. Colonel Saab, when we mention Kashmir, immediately the reaction that we get from India is that they mention Balochistan. Why do they draw this parallel? Whereas obviously the situation is extremely different. We are not, I mean, Kashmir is an international issue. Kashmir is a gross violations of human rights issue. Kashmir is an issue where, like you said, the Nazis didn't do as much as the Indians are doing.
Mr. Modi has badly failed.
So they put us on the back foot.
He has badly failed in handling Kashmir. And he was believing that he would use beef politics, and he would use Hindutva, and he would use such elements to malign Pakistan by false activity, false flag operations in India, in Bombay and rest everywhere, Pathankot and like that. And in that, he had planned restricted, limited, controlled problem in Kashmir so that he can blame it on Pakistan. And this mishandling, he thought that Kashmir is because BJP won seats and it was in the government, that gave him a false feeling that the population of Kashmir is not anti-India. So he would be able to do left, right, 2, 3 things, and he would be able to malign Pakistan. So this problem, this is Modi's instigated problem basically. And this uprising was triggered by Modi's false play which he wanted to implicate Pakistan behind everything that is happening all along India, and Pakistan is behind it. And it spinned out of his hands. He lost all controls. It is growing every day. It is snowballing, and it is unmanageable, absolutely, militarily or politically. It is unmanageable for India. So now, to divert attention from Kashmir and to cover up his bad show, he has suddenly, he is a man of no vision. With his limited vision, what he could think of was, let's counter it. And where would he find? Now coming to this, what is happening in Balochistan? But there was something happening in Balochistan which is now not happening. Now when you see Tehreek-e-Taliban started losing, they started attacking mosques, they started attacking schools. They could not contest military forces, security forces. Exactly like that, now it is happening in Balochistan. They are going for lawyers, they are going for soft targets in cities and towns, right? Now they have lost their complete effort which they had launched since 2003 in Pakistan, in Fatah and Balochistan, and that is another desperation that Modi Saab is seeing in his time, that all that investment which Manmohan Singh had tackled so well after Vajpayee has gone down the drain after that complete Fatah and Balochistan has been made impossible for Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan and for Balochistan Liberation Army or Republican Army, whatever.
Right.
So now that desperation plus the shame that he has faced on Kashmir, he could only do this, that he offered asylum to Baloch dissidents, he set up a Baloch radio, and he has started shouting that there are human rights violations in Balochistan. And they go on to show the graves which were made, which were dug, and the victims of earthquake were buried. They are digging up those graves and they are making photographs to show that these are the atrocities of Pakistan army. So there is no logic, no sense in comparison or equating Balochistan to Indian occupied Kashmir.
Exactly. Gilani Saab, you as being part of the APHC, how do you feel that there is going to be, do you think, what's the way forward for us now with regard to Kashmir?
For Pakistan, I believe, as a Kashmiri, I believe that the Pakistan has to assume its actual role of being the main party to the issue, not just as an advocate to the issue.
Right.
Because we have seen the Pakistan has been playing role as an advocate to the issue, not as the main party.
We have said that it is the main central issue.
It is the centrally, it is. But then Pakistan is the main party to the issue as well. As the Kashmiris are the main party, India is the main party, Pakistan also is the main party.
Right.
So Pakistan has to assume that role. So like my fellow panelist, my brother Cheema, he has mentioned that there should be a diplomatic offensive now. That we should show the mirror to the shameless international community that look at your double standards.
Right.
On one hand, there are the unarmed people, they are being butchered by the Indian armies on the streets of Kashmir, and you are not condemning that act. And on the other hand, there are 17 Indian soldiers killed by a combatant force, and the Indian army is also a combatant force. And you are condemning that worldwide. What is that? That's a double standard that Indian army, the international community has shown until now.
Right. And that double standard needs to come out.
Exactly.
That double standard, like Gilani Saab is saying, the butchering being done by the Indian army is something that the whole international community needs to condemn, and it needs to come out. It needs to come out to the fore. And we have, maybe set the stage for it. And what do you think the way forward is?
The way forward is, I think, all the political parties in Pakistan, the religious Islamic parties, the political parties, and the civil society, we must have this Kashmir issue not just on television and social media. Actually, that issue must be on the roads as well.
Right.
If there could be rallies on Friday after the mosque, why people can't just talk this issue everywhere now? I think we need to talk this issue with more force at societal level. That is what is needed. At political level, things are going good. Social media, on media is giving an energy to the issue. That's good. People are watching that. That's fine. But at the societal level, at the political parties, they need to be more offensive. If the political parties can go to Azad Kashmir for getting votes, why they can't go to Azad Kashmir for telling them and showing sympathy to those people that we are coming into Kashmir not for just wars this time. We are here to talk about what's happening in the Indian held Kashmir. That's what the stance that needs to come. And I think the people from Azad Kashmir, they also need to be more offensive, and they need to come on roads and need to talk about the people who are dying, in the Indian held Kashmir. So there must be a societal shake-up at the level so that everyone is engaged about the problem.
Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have today. Yes, the issue of Kashmir is very close to the heart of each and every Pakistani. Yes, the Prime Minister has made a laudable speech. Yes, he has put Kashmir on the front of our relations with Pakistan and India. He has said that no talks, no dialogues without Kashmir. And yes, he has put us on, showed us the way forward. But on a societal level, like Cheema Sahib has said, like Colonel Sahib has said, like Gilani Sahib has said, we need each and every person, we need the intelligentsia of the country, we need a joint effort to highlight the kind of gross human rights violations being conducted every day, the butchering being done in Kashmir, Indian occupied Kashmir, so that it becomes an issue the world cannot ignore. Thank you so much for joining me today on Perspective.